Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't. Either that or they're lying to you or they're just plain incompetent. Either way, do you think the CDC has your back on Ebola? Is this really as good as it gets? Justice told you 2 weeks ago we need to have a travel ban. Now more than 60% of Americans agree with me. That's after Ebola man welcomed into our country and our hospitals infects at least 2 nurses, then dies, and then we get the bill. The question shouldn't be, should we have a travel ban? The question should be, why don't we have a travel ban? A ban, though, would have a negative political and economic consequences to Liberia. I don't know how to break this to you, Mr. President, but we Americans elected you. You were the President of the United States, not the President of the world. So when American lives are on the line, political and economic consequences to other countries be damned. And don't give me that we don't want to panic people line. That's not an excuse to lie to us. And by the way, other than you, who's panicking? I'm not seeing anybody jumping off a building or a bridge over Ebola. We've got almost 4,000 American troops headed to West Africa. We're giving them $750 million. And we're working on a vaccine. Enough already. Your CDC director, that genius, fly by the seat of his pants, Frieden, says a travel ban is just going to make it harder to stop the epidemic in Africa. Now, does that mean that not only should we continue to bring in 1,000 people a week from the hot zone, but we should load up the whole region and bring them all here so that we can then stop the epidemic in Africa? Do you really think we're that stupid? And my favorite, you're going to let the airport personnel check for Ebola? A civilian's going to tell me who has Ebola? Your doctors let two nurses who have Ebola out in public. You even told one she could fly. But then again, your CDC director doesn't want to check them for Ebola because he says you slow travel. You end up costing people money. And then who's going to get screened? Who's going to train them? And if you have a positive, where are you going to bring them? Where are you going to bring them? You don't know? I have an idea. If they come here with Ebola, until you can guarantee that no American healthcare worker gets the virus, send them back to where they came from until we can get our own protocols in order. Why are you doing this to us? Not only do you say you have our backs.
Our fundamental mission is to protect Americans. Right now, we're able to track everyone who comes in.
Today, we're showing the world the best of American leadership. We will protect our people.
This reflects the president's commitment to putting the protection of the American public at the top of the priority list.
The United States of America will continue to do what we must do to protect our people. We will be vigilant and we will be relentless.
But then in typical Obama never take responsibility fashion, you blame Nurse 1, who's now fighting for her life for a breach of protocol. What protocol? More than 70% of the nurses in this country say they're not even familiar with a protocol, which so-called protocol you are constantly changing. I'll tell you what a breach in protocol is. A breach in protocol is when you say that the risk is very low.
First and foremost, I want the American people to know that our experts here at the CDC and across our government agree that the chances of an Ebola outbreak here in the United States are extremely low.
A breach in protocol is when you blame a healthcare worker. A breach in protocol is when you ignore the advice of doctors working for decades with the Ebola virus. A breach in protocol is when you lead us to believe that your protocol, already proven inadequate, will protect us. You say almost any American hospital can handle Ebola. The Texas hospital couldn't. So you tell us what local hospitals can. And by the way, Aren't hospitals independent and autonomous? Don't they decide what equipment and protections they will invest in? The CDC does not control local hospitals. And isn't exchange of fluids the only way to contract Ebola? Do you know what mutations this virus will take? And doctors and scientists, a hell of a lot smarter than that bozo community organizer, Tom Frieden, that you have running the CDC, say differently. So if the virus can last for hours on a dry surface or for 3 months in fluids, what risk is that to us? You aren't listening to the people in the trenches, Doctors Without Borders, Samaritan's Purse. You left those exposed free to travel and self-monitor. They're not a risk until they show symptoms. But what if their first symptom shows up when they start projectile vomiting while they're on an airplane? And now another Dallas hospital worker on a cruise ship with over 1,000 people that Mexico and Belize will not even allow to dock in their country. You don't know what the hell you're doing. The CDC is not in charge of anything other than a huge budget, and now I should rest assured that the new Ebola czar, an insider, political hack with no medical or military experience, will have my back? Is he another former community organizer like you and your CDC director? If he is, God help us. And that's my open.